even though they, how many times y'all deal with taxpayers? Here's my cost. How many of y'all got barnuminiums? Here's my cost of my barnum, they bring in cost for the metal building. The 60 by 100 building cost them $24,000. Okay, what about the plumbing, the AC, the electrical, the framing? Oh, you gotta ask that stuff.
They can
And you
get to
gotta be-
400,000 real easy.
Huh?
They can go to 400,000 real easy.
Bingo. I mean, they can put some ton of money in a barnuminium, and you gotta look when you go out there. You get a picture, look at the satellite dish, look at the AC unit, look for, windows, all that kind of stuff shows up out there. They don't want you out there, but get that. How many of y'all got Google Earth? Our Google Earth just reflowed up there. How many got pictometry? Have you got your new images yet? Huh? When did you get them? Huh? How many's already got the new pictometry images?
I don't think
Oh,
they're
we
gonna
How many's got your new ones for this year? Everybody got theirs?
Not for this year.
I haven't got mine yet. I'm not happy.
This is only one.
They haven't even flown yet. That's my problem.
I
Okay.
don't think they're reflying this year.
A lot of clouds. They said. You got your new pictometry images already? When- You got them in January?
We don't have clouds hardly in
Huh?
West Texas. We don't have clouds in West Texas.
Okay. Everything's flat out here too, right? I teach a course too here, and I it's about unlevel lot. Somebody, I think Brian raised his hand. You over downtown much? Most of the lots are flat. Okay, thank you. I understand.
We have clouds.
So it's pretty well flat. But I know when it rains out, there's spots that flood though.
Yeah.
There's no spots on the flat plane, okay? Estimated total cost of new improvements, including direct or cost, total appreciation for physical depreciation, functional, and external obsolescence. You still got depreciation on a cost approach. Deduct depreciation from cost of new improvements. We continue it, we estimate the total cost of new the amenities, less depreciation, and add the value of depreciated improvements, depreciated amenities, and site value to arrive at a value by the cost approach. So there's several things there we must do to add together. The cost approach, it's pretty easy to do our cost new or improvements in it. We kind of got schedules and stuff to help us do that. Estimating total depreciation can be a nightmare though, can't it? House built in 1960, house built in 1970. What's the effective age? How much has been done inside those walls that we don't know about? How much updating's been done? Here's probably getting to nowadays. I got this lady looked at the letter of the day. Her house hadn't been updated like the neighbors have. Well, some houses that have sold have been updated, some of them haven't been updated. I've had a 1915 rock house in the city of Decatur, old sandstone rock, sold for $100 a foot, which seemed like a lot of money for an old house in Decatur. They gutted it, started over. They paid more money than we thought it was worth. And they turned around and gutted it and started over. So what are they gonna have in it when they get finished? Who knows? Cook County, classic example, we face, guy gives $160,000 for a house, puts about $40,000 into it. Cook County's got it appraised for $148,000. He goes to ARB. They lowered to $138,000. Now he's filed arbitration. He wants $80,000 now. Paid $160, put $40 in it, got $200 in it. It's $138. He wants $80 now. What's his motivation? Any thoughts? How old is he? 64. What's he trying to do?
Oh, freeze the tax
He's
ceiling.
trying to hammer home a low freeze, isn't he? That's all he's trying to do. He's trying to hammer home a very low freeze amount. Have we been to arbitration yet? It is, what? Just take two dice out, roll them, and we got a number, okay? We've had our most recent one. We got named Mr. Smith. It's really his name. Total nutcase, okay? Total nutcase. We go to arbitration. He always builds some kind of metal house. He's not finishing it. He won't let us see it. He you send the affidavits to hearing, now we'll go to arbitration. So let's just go see it after we file arbitration, we will look at it. It's got a giant, it's got a room, it's kind of foamed on the walls, he kind of lives there crudely. We go to arbitration, he wants 80,000, we're at 118, we offered to come to 91, he still wants 80, he wanted 75. No, he wanted 60, he wanted 60, he said he got the land cheap, he wants what it cost to settle it, basically, what to do. Well, 60 to go arbitration, and the arbitrator kind of just, when the arbitrator tells you he's an agent and an arbitrator, you know, just go ahead and take your medicine before you leave, okay? Anyway, I mean, you fix the other day, it's okay? I have a better description I won't use now, but anyway. Anyway, take your medicine, go home. So anyway, the final statement, arbitration, well, I think it's about 75,000, he just boom, 75,000. He won't even have any response to that. I said, man, people pay 100,000 someplace just to get away for the weekend. If they roll 100 grand, just they'll just quit. That's a good point. So the other guy don't make a point. So he comes back and raises the final decision to 85,000. Well, this guy goes off in an email to the arbitrator. Okay? Turn him into the state, and blah, 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 blah. But in the meantime, by the time we started, we finished, he sent my assistant chief appraiser a email just laced with scripture how we're all going to hell. So we'll go do for a living. I mean, literally. He's already been in trouble with the law a couple times over issues of that nature. He threatened a young lady down the street that was different than he was, put signs up, he's going to hell, all this kind of stuff, in his yard, okay? So he's certified in that case, okay? So anyway, it goes off on the arbitrator, and the arbitrator responds, I don't have to tell you anything, I made a decision on the final. We come back this week, and so we hadn't thought about that anymore, so the arbitrator goes off on him and says, you know, I did my job, you didn't present your evidence, and you want us to meet at the wrong library. We met in it's a converted garage, had concrete floor and just roll down doors, whole 9 yards. It's kind of cold, it's really kind of cold. It's a converted garage, what it was. It's you picked a location that wasn't worth the crap, you know. So anyway, so he goes off on the taxpayer now, okay? So anyway, I can't wait to see Kurt again. So Kurt works for the exterminating company, and I was we found out at the hearing that we used to use. I don't want a chance him coming in my office with a bug wall on his hand, spraying me in the face. But anyway, so we swapped exterminators over this deal. But anyway, so do what you got to do. But anyway, okay, cost approach, appreciation, and cost of new improvements. And you're going to add those together with, as well as the amenities out here. That $1 million pool is going to be appreciated heavily, I'm sure. I don't know. Total cost. How about the income approach? The most effective use is what? It's an investment use. And one of those use questions, what's a strength? The strength is a direct relationship between the value and the income produced. I don't think that.
Just close that.
It's just of these things.
All this and just close together.
Here we go. Strengths are, it's a direct relationship between value and income produced. So if you're an investor, want to buy a property, you've got $1 million to spend, you want a 10% return, what do you want? 100 grand a year return. So you can, based on a strategy for investment, it's also required in tax code to value special use properties. So if you had a question that says, investment use or what's the requirement in tax code to do a property by investment use or by the income approach? It's special use property, wouldn't it? Required to do this for ag and timberland. Anybody got any timber? You don't even have any trees.
Not
do you?
here.
You don't even have trees, do you?
We have no timber.
Huh? Yeah, the wind's gonna be gusting to 60 miles an hour. I've already seen one tumbleweed out here in the parking lot, okay? I was out here one time and those tumbleweeds are jumping over the road. And I'm like, God, it's like in the movies, you know, Wizard of Oz or something, you know? Dorothy's gonna pick her heels together any moment. It's gonna land. Anyway, we called a game one time at Halton. The coach came from Kansas. He won like 3 championships in Kansas. And he's really whiny at halftime. I mean, he's just loud and gripey. I told my line judge, tell me, pick your heels together and say, Dorothy, we're not in Kansas no more. But anyway, so people thought it was very funny. So it's a direct relationship between value and income produced based on an investment strategy for investment property and value special use properties. The most effective use equals investment. Weakness is property must be capable of producing enough income to attract an investor. So it's gotta be have income producing, it's gotta be attractive enough to attract an investor, requires financial information such as financing, interest rates, property income, expenses, and does not value land improvements separately. So what happens when somebody's got income producing property, what happens about the income? They won't tell you, will they? Now, if things get bad, what happens?
They tell you.
They'll bring you boxes full of stuff, won't they? When they're doing well, and things are going up, you never see an income statement. But let things turn out, oh, look, man, it's pretty tough right now, man. It's pretty sad, man. I got 10 units empty, and blah, 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 blah. Well, what was the information that last year when you was full? Well, last year particularly, we thought it was okay, So I don't know how, we're okay. So they kind of give you that story on things. Almost a deal. Okay, anyway, income approach. Whoa. Steps to the income approach. Remember these terms here from your income class? The potential gross rent, that's also called a what? PGR. Subtract the vacancy collection loss. Sometimes we call that the B and C. Add the secondary income or miscellaneous income. What's some examples of secondary miscellaneous income? That's a great question you're going to see. If you got a hotel, what's some examples of secondary income might be?
Vending machines.
Vending machine, laundry machines, what else?
The little,
Could have restaurant income. If you got an apartment complex, it could be vending, laundry, covered parking. There's several things that might fall under secondary miscellaneous income. Subtract allowable operating expenses. Remember we discussed this? They need to be allowable. There's several things that can include in operating expenses. Set an appropriate cap rate. Here's where your argument comes in with your tax professional. What's the cap rate going to be? Divide the NOI, or the net operating income, by the cap rate for the value. How many of y'all participated in income analysis in your office? You did in class. And then you do it with some commercial properties sometimes. It can kind of be a challenge for us sometimes in doing this. Oh yeah, let's get it over here. I'm just touching base where we're at. Yeah, we're good. Let's move on. Appraisal records, what is in there? Think about your appraisal records. All this stuff in your office is probably going to show up where? In your computer, in it. You can probably print a card off, and you hand the taxpayer what they think. Oh, what is all this stuff? You know what I'm saying? It's a busy card, isn't it? It's a real busy card. And so sometimes, when you give the taxpayer, you have to kind of spend a few minutes to say, okay, here's your square footage, here's your drawing of your house, and they'll come back tomorrow and they'll check the measurements inside the house of that big. Well, we're measuring the outside walls. I've got some great articles about that too. We get challenged about once a year on that, about how we measure. And I've got some international laws from the International Summer Association that tells how you measure outside, the outside corners, all that kind of stuff. It's really good support for people arguing about how we measure. What's it? Land description. Improvement land description could include rural land, urban land, could be measurement of size. We have front foot, rear foot, depth, topography. That was just pretty well. FLAT. And location. When I came up on the Cap Rock, there was hills.
yeah.
But y'all are on the Cap Rock, right?
Yeah.
Now you're down
These guys
off the
are.
Cap Rock.
Yeah.
Now where's Amarillo's what?
North or
Are they higher than y'all or not? Lower.
You're higher.
They're on the upper Cap Rock. You're on the lower Cap Rock. How far south can we drop off the Cap Rock?
60 miles.
Hmm? I'm getting the geography lesson on here. Not very far?
Not very far.
Okay.
Well,
It's kind of neat beginning to live on the Cap Rock though. Here's popular. Okay, improvement description. Construction type, wood frame, brick veneer, metal,
couple of
construction quality, poor, low, fair, average, good, very good, excellent. Additives, depreciation, physical, functional, external. You could have things like property record, the legal description of the property. Could be lot and block. Could be meets and bounds. a rectangular survey. Remember your survey back in those days? What else could be in your record? You probably had a drawing in there. Don't you have a drawing somewhere? When you draw the property, it's critical. I tell everybody this, it's critical when you draw the property the first time, you get it right the first time. It's not only your job, it's the president's job. And not only affects this property, it affects other properties. It affects the federal government sometimes, okay? Because what happens, that property sells, somebody's gonna list it in a comp somewhere at 2,210 square feet. That house is really 2,000 square feet or 2,400 square feet. We've assimilated bad information into the data stream that's gonna wind up affecting people borrowing money too much, or not enough money down the road. And a lot of times they'll question our numbers in the ML. How many of y'all have access to MLS? How many of y'all don't have access? How many's had access and lost it? Lots of places have lost access now. Huh? You have it?
No, yeah, we had it, but we had, I worked in a county where we lost it, and we still haven't been able to.
Well, not good. So what's in that database, you know what I'm saying? Let's talk about a little bit about ownership rights or title or the bundle of rights as we refer to them, okay? Remember this acronym was what, slugger? And remember we talked about we have the right to sell the property. If I own the property, I have the right to sell it. I have a right to lease it. I can use it. I can actually give it away. I can enter or leave it. Or I can actually refuse to exercise any of the above. And we also, it's important to remember, each one of those are distinct and separable rights. So if I lease the property, I wouldn't have the right to sell it, would it? I might have the right to use it, but I sure couldn't give it away if I leased it. I'd have the right to enter and leave it, but I wouldn't have the authoritative right to accept, to refuse any of the other rights. So leasing it gives me some rights, ownership gives me some rights. If I'm a customer in a store, I might have the right to enter and leave the store, but I sure couldn't sell it, lease it, or use it, or give it away. So there's several ways this can be broke down. It's all separable and distinct. It's like a bundle of pencils. You can take one out and still have the rest of them left over. You could have a question that says, which of the following is not one of the bundles of rights of real estate? You can have three of these listed and something funky in there, okay? So they don't fit. So which is, this is a great chance for which is not questioned, or what is not one of the distinct bundles of rights or factors involved. Let's talk, let's talk about some governmental powers that restrict ownership. When we talk about the police power, the police has a right to enforce laws and stuff. Remember what this sheet was talking about? You don't have a will or something in place when you pass away. I always say the state will cheat you out of your property. So if you don't have a plan in place, the government's got a plan for you, basically. If you have no heirs, I was talking to, actually, our TAC in Wise County. He did marry her late in life. He married a lady that has no children. He has no children. They're like 60 years old now. Got a nice house. He's inherited some land from his mother. They have no heirs. He's got nieces and nephews he really likes. But he's got a sister. I told him one day, his sister you don't like. You better get your will drawn up where your nieces and nephews get it. Your sister will, because if you're not careful, she's your most direct heir. His wife has no brothers and sisters, no parents. Her parents are already dead. So they're applying a prime example for his cheat. That'll be something together pretty quick. But anyway, taxation is a governmental power. We have a right to levy taxes on the property. You have to pay those taxes. Every once in a while we get that new person, that radical, whatever we want to call them, Republican Texas candidate says you can tax my property. That's fine. Keep leaving that. If you don't pay them, we'll sell your property. Nobody ever, I've never had anybody go to sale yet. They argue that point. They argue way back in the early, way too tax my property, blah, blah, blah. Texas Constitution, section 12, hey, I don't, I'm here enforcing rules, I'm not making those things up. If you don't pay, we will sell your property. It's real simple. You can do that, blah, 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 blah. I said, hey, that's fine. I'm not here to argue with you. that's what you believe, I'm happy for you. But here's what'll happen if you don't pay your taxes. But anyway, how about eminent domain? It's in the news again with the legislature. They're trying to, you know, had a little problem when they built the new Cowboy Stadium in Arlington. They used eminent domain to take some houses. They was on television, crying, how they forced her out of her house. She didn't want to sell. Her mother was born in that house. Her grandmother used to own that house. They showed a picture of the house. And I really thought on a good day, even that location, 150 would have got it probably, okay? Little frame house, not in real good shape. They paid her $475,000 for it. I didn't feel quite as sad for her as I did when she started talking. They paid her lots more money than it was worth. And here she is upset about it. So that's one of those things, it's gonna be talked about again in the legislature. We've had people, I had a guy pop out easement across my property, kind of mentioned casually, if I couldn't come to agreement, they could use eminent domain to put a pipeline across my property. And I'm thinking, where's the public purpose in this, okay? We would argue about that long and hard before we got that point. Whoa. I know what it is.
There's still one little house on the Cowboys Stadium parking lot that they,
Huh?
that one little house that they did not get is still in the parking lot. It's in the little corner of one of the parking lots in Cowboy Stadium.
They,
It's still there.
anyway.
I guess they always have a parking spot. huh?
Exactly.
Wonder if they charge
You
it
had
for
your
parking.
finger on it.
Yes, I have.
But it makes you wonder why
Here we go.
all the rest of the properties, but
It's a long ways back.
They just,
I think it goes fast forward, doesn't it?
sell, I guess.
We used to have a situation where there was a house in a parking lot of a Hobby Lobby. Literally owned a 1 acre tract in the front of the parking lot of a Hobby Lobby there at Northeast Mall. This is back before the law changed, so we had to tax it as a homestead. They was paying lots of taxes every year, they didn't want to sell. Taxes got so high, it forced them to sell, and the law changed, they'll probably still be there. You don't live in the lobby, the parking lot of a Hobby Lobby, had a concrete brick wall around it, but still, it was worth lots of money to put a fast food restaurant there eventually, but they hung on for a long time before the law changed. Let's talk about some leasehold estates. Maybe not. What's a new slide for y'all, okay? I have to quit doing that. I'm gonna get my liquor out tomorrow. Here we go. Basic forces in the marketplace. This is the freebie going in. There's physical forces. If you got down the coast, hurricane
Eggs.
increase some damage to your property. Economical forces, aren't they? What's happening in the economy in this area? There's governmental forces that can play havoc with you sometimes. There's social forces in certain areas that do play some havoc on us. Topography can be an issue in most of the world. How about interest rates? Interest rates going up and going down. Zoning could be a governmental. In school district could be a social thing. Pegs. Remember your pegs? Let's see your book. Those Pete, it's Pete. Pete was the previous one. Now we have Pete here, now we got pegs. Too many acronyms. So anyway, how about social issues of school districts nowadays? It's huge, isn't it? We want our kids in certain schools, I want our grandkids in certain schools. We don't want them in certain schools. There's all kinds of issues going on with that now. Affordable housing is a problem in those very desirable school districts. Houses in those areas have gotten really expensive, really high. Nobody can afford to live there. The very rich people. How about a leasehold estate? The interest in a property that are associated with the lessee or the tenant as opposed to the lessor. So if somebody made improvements to the property, had a leasehold estate. I'm in the middle of page 41. Or the leased fee estate, interest in a property that are associated with the lessor, the property owner when the leasehold interest exists. We've got a note here, it says note, conditions of ownership can increase or decrease a property's value. So if you got a long-term lease on a property, it might might affect what you get the property for. If you get a long-term lease, it's not going to expire for 10 years. Yet you got a lease that's going to expire in a couple of years, and market rates have gone up, you may be able to sell the property, anticipating some more rent in a later time. What is this?
That was before.
Where did that one come from?
It's your
That
page
was-
38.
That one don't belong here, it goes back somewhere else, you already said it, remember?
I don't know if we've ever had
That's
that.
out of place. 90, master appraisal concept. Generally accepted appraisal practice is an orderly set of steps that eliminate bias and enable testing. We talked about a little earlier. Master appraisal is the process of valuing the whole universe of properties as a given date using standard methodology, employing common data, and allowing for statistical testing. The first step in a master appraisal is analyze your market. It's underlined in your book for some reason too, okay? So master appraisal, definition could say, what's the definition of mass appraisal, or which of the following is not one of the definitions of market value, mass appraisal? Then we talked about accurate appraisal. That's when your appraisal is underlined again, is an appraisal that comes close to 100% of fair market value. We want to be accurate, but we also want to be what? Uniform. Uniform appraisal, an appraisal does not treat one property or class of properties different from others. So we want to be accurate and uniform, don't we? I've had some appraisals in the past, it might not be exactly 100%, they'd be like 98, 97, 99, but it was uniform. I like that better than the person that's 100% and got some irregularities in uniformity, okay? Ideally, it tells us three approaches to value use on every property, but it's not typical mass appraisal, is it? Not hardly possible, is it? Sometimes we can, sometimes we can't though. Let's talk about building and using a value schedule. How many of y'all participate in schedule building in your office? Got some input into it? It's kind of a challenge. When they're building schedules, you're like, oh my God, values are going up again. People are gonna burn the building. You can't go to Walmart on not no more. Gotta get a.
They will hunt you down in Walmart. They see you, they'll stop you.
So I had one guy in Walmart avoided me one time. He was at almost certified nut, but anyway, he had some issues, and he kind of just avoided me, which particularly that he avoided me, okay? I made him think trying to talk to him was a big problem. Anyway, so, we found about something that happened with ARB, and, typically, when we're dealing with taxpayers that are totally irrational, or totally out there, there's a root problem. It's generally not the taxes, okay? We're having family problems, financial problems, or something else is going on. It's creating all this anger and anxiety. It's generally not, they don't wake up the first thing in the morning and hate Mickey Head, I don't think, you know what I'm saying? There's other battles they're dealing with. When they see Mickey Head, his name on something, they kind of get stowed up a little bit, but I think it's other issues that are killing them, you know what I'm saying? 3 basic steps to building a schedule is develop the property categories, separate sales prices into land improvements, values adjusted each for time and additives, and determine typical values per unit of measure. This could be a time-consuming task. That's one of my tasks. I got stuff working on some schedules this week. Is that nice? Got to bring me a hotel, you know? Unless you want to watch TV, just want to have to push the HDMI button to get it come on. I'm about ready to just quit worrying about it. It just frustrates me. I can push, you know, I got to tune it on the side. I'll wrap that puppy up. Anyway, no, I'm just kidding. All that great service awards they've been getting. Anyway, key to using a value schedule, it's based on categories or classifications. You have classes in your office of residential properties, don't you?
Yeah.
You have wood frame and brick separate, sometimes metal houses, wood frame, brick. You have different classes in your houses from maybe 1 through 20 or low through excellent. Additive adjustment schedules for other things you may add into your property. You got depreciation schedules, which can be a handful themselves. And it requires what? Periodic updating of your schedules, as well as your inspections of your properties. Here's the thing we always say, 2 standards that the classification must meet to be valid. Every property should fit into one class. No property can fit into more than one class. This is easier said than done for me in our world, because we have so many variations. Do we know? Some of the things we don't know. We're trying to do a better job of identifying features from the outside, such as ceiling heights and roof pitches, etc. But still, once you see inside, sometimes there's inside just a whole different world. I'm trying to make this work. Appraisal to sale ratio. Well, actually, value schedules require adjusting a particular property for depreciation unique features. Fundamental to schedule using mass appraisal are good classification systems. Value schedules show typical value per unit of measure. In building a schedule for use in mass appraisal, you must use typical values per unit of measure developed from the local market data. We use some Marshall and Swift. We also try to verify it with some local data. Now then, a little math here at the end of this section. Calculating ratios, an appraisal to sale ratio. Remember the appraised value of the sales price equals the ratio. $90,000 appraised value, $100,000 sales price, usually 90% ratio. Now I got this little note here. Think about your sales price. If it's more than the appraised value, the ratio will be what? Less than 1. If it's less than the appraised value, the ratio will be greater than 1. So don't divide this backwards, what I'm trying to tell you, okay? Just sit and think about it a little bit and say, okay, if we got appraised at 90,000, it's sold for 100, we're gonna be low. We're gonna be below 1, right? So if it's sold for 100, we're at 90, we're gonna be high. It'll be more than 1. So when you're doing that math, don't flip those backwards. It's real easy to do. Been there, done that. Bad t-shirt for it, you know what I'm saying? Just think about what you're calculating there when you do that. IAAO standard on ratio accuracy wants us to be from 90 to 110, from 90% to 110%. It says at the bottom of page 42, very low ratios, 60%, of very high ratios, 120. Result from poor classification system, and value schedules are based on classifications. Talk about some basic calculating the area. Is everybody cool with a square? Pretty well cool with a square? I had a guy in class 102 one time, had a problem with this, okay? It was a square box, and he wasn't too familiar with calculating the square footage of a square box. And so he failed 101, failed 102 both. And I was concerned that he wasn't gonna work out. So I had to kind of ask him politely that how things are going to work. He said, not very good. I said, you might want to talk to your boss when you get back. This may not be your future, okay? It's kind of sad, because I extended the olive branch to stay late or come early, and he didn't take that either way, so. Let's talk about, square's pretty simple. Rectangle's pretty simple, isn't it? You got the length times the width. So the rectangle and the square have very similar math formulas. How about a parallelogram? You're gonna do what here? You're gonna, in the parallel, I call this a rectangle squashed, okay? Take a box, you just push it over, you still got the same dimensions there, okay? You just squashed it down, that's all you've done, okay? It's not a real complicated formula there. Triangle is 1/2 of the base times the height, essentially a square. You're taking half the square in this case. Base times the height divided by 2, or 1/2 of that number. Then you got the trapezoid. You want to average the parallel sides, multiply the average times the height, so we know it's 10 on one side, 15 on the other side. Equals 2 times 5 is 62.5. And how you trapezoid houses, have y'all? You ever paint those houses with round porches, that stuff, don't y'all? The area of a sector of a circle. Let's kind of talk about a circle for a minute. Remember we talked about the circle earlier, and we said the circle sector of a circle, so in this case, we've got a 45-degree portion of the circle. Remember what pi was? 3.1416 times, in this case, the radius. The tricky part for you on this, I think, is to differentiate between the diameter and the radius, okay? It shows a half circle porch, and it has a 10 in the middle. That's gonna be what? The diameter, right? You divide it by 2 to get the radius. Always remember that. So if it has a picture of a half circle, it's got a 10 in there in the middle. It's gonna be the full diameter. You gotta find the radius, you gotta square it. So in this case, we got 3.1416 times 10 times 10. It's giving us in this picture the radius. See, if it had 20 out in the middle, you have to divide it by 2 to get the radius. So in this case, you got 314.16 total area. We know our 45-degree portion of this. We know the whole thing is what, 360 equals 0.125 times the portion 3.1416. And nobody's told me this question. What you'll come here having is a half circle back porch that you got to calculate the area for a porch, okay? That's where your logical problem is going to come in. Determine the area of half of the circle divide the above circle by 2. In the above example, you could say 314 pi times 10 by 10 and divided by 2. So you've got a half circle back porch here. You can take the whole problem and divide it by 2. You'll come here seeing that question in your future rather than a sector of a circle. That make total sense. Total no sense. Why don't we do this? You've got about calculation. Good calculation question. You've got 10. You've got 10. You got 11 problems. It one's going to be lengthy. Let's take about 20 minutes on these. That one's a pretty lengthy question on the square footage of that picture. Take about 20 minutes and we'll check these, and then we'll I'll run through this. I got some instructor materials. I got them highlighted. I like to run through those, and it gives you just a real broad look at this whole chapter, okay? What you had in your original version, it just gives you a snapshot. We'll talk about some things we hadn't covered in here, but it kind of just refreshes your mind of stuff you had earlier. It may not be as fresh to you now, okay? Take about 20 minutes and we'll check those problems.